this week on Jared Scott Outdoors, we're heading out after shed out antlers. So it's April 15th, which is the day that a lot of those closed units open up. And so I've got Mike Anderson here with me, Foothills Rehab, one of the sponsors of the show. If you hurt yourself, go see this guy. And one of my longtime hunting partners, and we like to go shed hunting every now and then. So it's both of ours first trip out shed hunting this year. And so we're hoping to, pick up some big ones. Now, it's kind of a crazy thing on April 15th when you go into those areas that have been closed off, because there are so many people that go in. So it's kind of a race to get into the spots you want to get to and try to beat other people, because they're on their way too and things like that. And it kind of gets crazy. So we're here right at first light. We had to hike in a little bit to get here, and actually on the way in, I found a little antler. I'll show you a picture right here. As you see, it was stuck in the mud. It fell off the elk and just stuck. So anyways, that's a brown antler, a 4-point, so I was kind of surprised to find a small 4-point like that. But so now that we're here in the area that we wanted to be at, we hiked a little bit in the dark to be in our prime spot and try to beat the rush. So now we're going to look around and see what we can find. Welcome to Jared Scott Outdoors, your source in the field for local outdoor news. The area we were shed hunting today is pretty thick, and so in some cases, you practically have to walk right over the sheds to spot them. However, when I caught sight of something white up ahead, it was pretty visible. All right, so we just got into this area that we were hoping to find some antlers in, and just come into the prime spot. Sure enough, up ahead looks like a very nice elk antler. So that is an awesome way to get this started.
We're hoping it's a little bigger than this one.
That is a big elk antler, and it's actually a year old, which makes me feel kind of silly, because I came and hiked around here a little bit last year. Of course, there was fresh 5 or 6 inches of snow, but oh, look at that, just a big old beautiful 7-point bull there. So that is awesome. Great way to start off the day. Of course, we want to find some brown stuff, so hopefully we can find some fresh stuff too, but I won't turn this down at all. Finding that big antler to start off the day sure got our hopes up, and so we eagerly kept looking for more. With it being so thick, we had to stay pretty close and cover the hillside in a grid pattern so we knew where we'd been and where to keep looking. Alright, so Mike and I split up to go around a group of trees down here below me, and I saw this lone pine tree up here, a few other things around it. Figured I better come look up here, and what do you know, but there's an elk antler sitting up there ahead and looks brown. Looks like a 5-point, not real big. I will take it for sure. So there you go. Again, it's just a young 5-point, but it is brown, which is obviously what you're looking for. So it tells us we're in the right area. So cross our fingers we can keep finding a few more. I don't know how I missed it, but just around the other side of the tree, here's the other side. Again, just a 5-point. Gotta like that. You always start out the days wondering what it's going to be like. That is a good start. After another 15 minutes or so, I spotted more white across the draw. Alright, so I'm starting to make Mike a little upset here. We're just paralleling each other, kind of looking over everything, and just back there, I asked him where he wanted to go. He's like, well, if I go up, you're gonna go down there and find one, and if you go up, I'll go. Anyways, sure enough, where I went, there's one right across this little ravine from me. Looks like an older one, but not a bad one. We'll go get it for sure. Older or not, this morning was starting out pretty good. Yeah, it's an old one. Even when you think you've looked over an area for the last few years, you miss them. Yeah, a little bit of color still on the underneath side, but cracked on the top. It's a few years old. This is just a great example of how you never know what's going to happen. In a half hour, I picked up 4 elk sheds, while the last 2 years in a row, I came here to the same place and didn't find a thing.
Yeah, we just, I've been on a kind of a dry spell this whole day. And,
it's only 8:30.
Yeah, Jared's got like 45 pounds of antlers. Anyway, I found a little brownish white thing sticking out of some sagebrush up here. Got out the binoculars and it looks like maybe some antlers. At this point, I'm just gonna go over there and check.
Again, you can see how thick the area is and how easy it could be to walk right by some sheds and not ever see them. Brown. They're up higher this year.
Well, the bad news it's not a 6, but the good news it's not a 6 either, because now I gotta carry it. At least I didn't get skunked.
All right,
Wow.
A little weight on your back now.
So the moral of the story is always check it with your binoculars, unless you don't want to walk over and look at it.
As hot as the shed hunting started, it seemed to go cold turkey. We covered a lot of ground checking the higher areas as well as the lower, but just couldn't seem to find any more sheds. We also noticed other shed hunters started coming behind us and could hear them in other places as well. Well, it's happened now. All the other shed hunters have showed up. Didn't take them long. We knew they weren't too far behind us, but we've now got people in front of us and behind us, above us, below us, all over the place. And Mike picked up that last one probably an hour ago. I haven't picked one up for probably 2 hours, so it's looking like it's time to go find another spot. See if there's one less likely to have so many other shed hunters. You know, you try to find one that doesn't have a lot of people, but you can't blame anybody else for coming out here on opening day. You know, they did it right. They waited for the opening day. And so it's, of course, their prerogative to be here too. You hope you're by yourself, but it just doesn't happen. So there are a lot of people that will sneak out, go on places that are closed, and we call it poaching antlers. And you know, so you just got to be glad that all these people out here waited for the opening day with me and Mike. So anyways, we'll keep at it for a little bit and then probably head out and try something new. All right, so now we are back out to do some more shed hunting. As you can see, I've got 3 of my kids. The other ones had school things that they had to stick around for. So we've got Abby, Cade, and Luke. We're gonna head out now and see if we can't find some. The country we're going into now, I kind of see as being deer country, however, possibly with some elk antlers as well. So you never know what you're going to find. I have never been out here shed hunting. We are a good 100 miles away from the other spot, you know, just trying to find new places and do a little exploring. So we're going to head up and see if we can't find some sheds. Heading up the hillside, we picked a spot that was south facing with lots of mahogany trees that wintering deer seemed to like to hang out in during those cold months. Right off the bat, we were seeing a lot of deer sign, so that gave us hope we were probably in a good spot. It was steep country, but that doesn't seem to bother the 4-legged critters too much, so we just spread out and started working up, making sure to check out any likely looking spots. Not finding anything at first, we just kept gaining elevation as we crisscrossed the big mahogany ridge. The higher we got, the more sign we seemed to find. In fact, now we were seeing a lot of elk sign as well, but so far, no antlers. We decided Kate is bad luck.
Yes. No, Dad was the one who chose the wrong spot.
I think you're bad luck.
No, I think you're the wrong spot.
Well, this is a good looking spot we're in, but apparently that doesn't matter because we haven't found anything yet. This isn't looking too great. Let's just go to that ledge and we'll probably drop down a little. Well, we kept at it and found spots that were just covered in sign from this year. Tracks all over and droppings littering the ground. As good as the area was looking, we just couldn't seem to find any antlers. There was always the possibility that other shed hunters had been through the area. You just never know unless you see boot tracks. Yep. All we could do was keep at it. We even checked some areas that were really steep with a lot of rock outcroppings. There weren't as many tracks in here, and there weren't any antlers either. All right, well, this trip, as far as finding antlers go, was a pretty big fail. We spent a pretty good chunk of time up here in what looked like good stuff. There was a lot of sign of both deer and elk, old and fresh, so we can tell they've been wintering there. The problem is you never know if you've got does or bucks and or cows or bulls as far as what was wintering there. And we couldn't find any horns. The one thing we found just barely coming out is a little piece of an antler, probably broke off from a fight or something like that, who knows. But a little piece of a deer antler, so that is it for today. Next, it's my wife's turn to head out, and she brought back some of the luck. All right, so we are back out again. You saw Mike and I did all right with some elk, and we got out of the mountains pretty sore and tired and just called it a day. So I got my wife back out here. It's a rare thing to get my wife out of the hills. In fact, as far as shed hunting and things that she just calls crazy, and I can't really say that it's not, but she had some time. She was gonna go do a little exercise. I said, hey, how about you come out in the hills with me? So I got her out. Was the last time when we found the ram? Mm-hmm. So it's probably been 4 years since I've had Candace out here looking for sheds. So anyways, we're gonna try a spot that's really, this area is more for deer. That's what I expect to find. Kind of a windy, kind of rainy day, but we'll get some exercise at least and spend some time out in the hills and see if we can't find some sheds. We had about a mile hike to get into the area where I wanted to start looking for antlers, as the area near where we'd parked had already been scoured over by other shed hunters. I just hoped that the other shed hunters hadn't gone too far and there'd still be some for us to pick up.
So we decided we'd split up, and I went a little bit lower than Jared and found the first one. It was kind of in some stuff like this and just kind of laying there, a little 3-point, not this year's, but still, I'm one, he's none.
It took about another half mile worth of ground to cover, and then I spotted some white up ahead. All right, so as you saw, I picked up this little 3-point here. I guess that ties us. Other than maybe that puts me ahead because he's a little bit taller. There's no eye guard on it, so maybe that makes us equal. I don't know, but right now 1-to-1, we're picking up at least a couple. In the same general area, while Candace was looking over another spot, I ran into a little 2-point, and then a little further, another small 2-point. However, they weren't a match set. All right, so I had to hunker down behind this tree because it's so windy. You know, there's no way we can film and still allow you to hear us. But anyways, I did pick up just recently 2 little 2-points. Of course, hard white, so they're not too old, but they are white, so that puts me ahead in the race. However, the secret is I really would like Candace to find a ton of them, and even some big ones. You know, I'd love it if she showed me up on this, because secretly, then that would make her want to come out. You know, I wouldn't tell her that, of course, but then I'd probably get her out more often if she could do that. So anyways, I hope she does pick up some big ones, but we kind of separated. I just happened to luck in on a couple little guys, but anyway, so we are finding a few. So we've at least not gotten skunked today. That's the best thing. Now the next goal, of course, is find some brown and find hopefully a big one. So we'll keep at it. Into the next little draw, Candace picked up her second.
So we are still out now, still out. And we have only gotten old things. A couple 2-points, a couple 3-points, and I have yet to understand why people wake up so early and come and do this. Maybe we will find the gold pot in a little while, but not yet.
After a bit of a lull in the action and a mile further away, Candace had picked up what looked like a bigger one, so I headed over to see what she had. That's when I spotted another antler. Check that out. You don't see that too often. The 4-point antler had fallen off the buck right into some sagebrush.
This one will go home. This one will not.
Here you can see how the old antlers just fall apart. While these old ones are still fun to find, they aren't very useful and have no value. So as Candace said, it stayed on the mountain.
All right, we're getting in the bigger ones.
It's interesting how bigger bucks hang out in different spots than the younger ones. But sure enough, the next antler we found was another 4-point, and this one appeared to be a brown antler from this year's winter. After several hours of hiking, we finally made it to a specific spot I wanted to check out. And to our disappointment, all we found was another very old 4-point that in just a few more years would just be white specks on the ground. Again, we just let it lay right where it was and then headed on out as we had a long ways to go. All right, so we are now wrapping this up, and we were able to get back to the truck about at sunset, so we weren't hiking out in the dark, which is always a good thing. I told Candace we'd probably be back home around 5 or 6 is what I may have implied.
But it's never that way.
It might be a bit after dark. The kids are going to be, well, they've already had to feed themselves, and now they'll be getting ready for bed. We'll get there about time to put them to bed. So we did find a handful of antlers, as you saw. However, the size wasn't really big, and so it didn't accumulate a whole lot there in the end. By the time we got as far, I had a honey hole that I wanted to check out, which turned out to be a bust. And that was the very furthest point, maybe 4 miles out. And when you're zigzagging, that's probably like 6 miles, I don't know. So we turned around and just came back straight. We didn't even look for antlers on the way back. So it was a long hike out. But we had a good time out here. What do you think, Candace?
I won't be back for another 4 years.
We didn't find the big antler that made her just, hey, yeah, let's come back tomorrow. So it's been 4 years, and I guess it takes 4 years for her to forget the pain. She was pretty sore by the time we got back, but it was good to get out and just have some time and find a few antlers. She still says she doesn't understand why we do this, and I admit it. There really probably isn't any logical reason, but anyways, that's going to wrap up today's antler hunt. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to the Jared Scott Outdoors YouTube channel.